Oh dear. What are you thinking, mate?
My fault. Got the wrong way around, didn't I?
We think this one might have been the secondary return, not this one.
You think?
Oh dear. Fluid wet. What's up guys, thanks for tuning in to my latest video, The Life of a Jobbing Plumber, sponsored by Velocity Pro Gear Tool Bags and Tool Monster. I'm going to leave both the links to their sites in the description of the video. Get yourself a great deal on a new kit bag or some tools to put in it. So this week's job is with Glenn from Heat Spec. It's quite an interesting one. We removed a hydrogen fuel cell, which I've never personally worked on before, so it was interesting for me and hopefully you'll find it interesting too. The reasons why we removed it, you will find out in the video. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like the video, please drop a like on it and subscribe because it really helps me out. Cheers, guys. Forgot to say, I know I was meant to put this out on Monday last week, and I think Monday the week before, but I was finishing off the Heat Geek course. So I did the Awakening and Mastery. And because I'm always doing something, I'm either at the gym or in the pool or out for a run or riding a bike, doing the online course was quite low on my priorities, but they put a deadline on it. We had to get it done by the 31st. So last week I was basically sat doing Heat Geek stuff, which absolutely blew my mind, but I got through it, passed both the courses. So hopefully I'll be bringing you some Heat Geek style content soon where I kind of put it into my own words and simplify a bit because it was very complicated but rewarding course to do. So yeah, that's why I've been a bit slacking in the video department, but yeah, hopefully I'll get you some good content from it. You've all asked for it. By popular demand, I'm back with Glenn from Heat Spec. Everyone at Installer Show that saw Glenn said, "Oh, I recognise you off PB's YouTube channel," and he absolutely loved it. So he's got me back in. We've got a really interesting job today, which I'll tell you about when we get to the job. But first thing to show you, this is why Glenn likes working with me. So last night I did this. I made some omelette pizza, which is really good for you. Basically it's egg, tomato, a little bit of cheese and a tortilla bread at the bottom. Did these to eat on the go, high protein. And then as a special treat, I don't know if he's gonna like this, but I made a protein pancake. Now the way you make protein pancakes, it's got whey protein powder, oats, a banana, milk and a little bit of Greek yogurt, and then I'll just put some Greek yogurt and fruit on top. So we'll see how he gets on with them. I think he'll like it. And then when we get to the job, we'll tell you what the job entails. Look at that. Now if you don't know about these, child. Absolute child. Oat ice brown sugar espresso. So you get espresso in the bottom, you top it with oat milk and some kind of ice brown sugar syrup. This is a large, it's about 150 calories, but it tastes amazing. It's so nice. I've got everyone on them. Glenn's got one. Just make sure you stir it so you mix it up. So I always mix it to the whole thing because I like that lighter colour. Heat Spec. Good start. This is where we need to get in, and someone's dumped a car sideways in this bit of drive. We want to park inside this gated area, so we're just trying to work out if this is a village hall, by the way. We're trying to work out if someone from the village hall has left the car here. Right, gives you verdicts on the protein pancakes.
Seriously, I'm not just saying it because you're my mate. That is elite. Really nice.
Really easy to make, really good for you.
Pancake.
I'll put the recipe in the description of the video if you want to make all
really?
that. You can make it in, if you make enough in keep it in a flask in the fridge, you can make it for a few days in the morning. Right. So we're in a nuclear power plant. This is a hydrogen fuel cell, which Glenn's going to explain everything. So if you've got no idea what it is, he's going to explain it, don't worry. And then we've got a standard setup of hot and heated cold water. microfill we've seen before when we've been working with Glenn. That keeps the system topped up so you don't have to manually put your pressure into the system on big systems like that. I'll just show you what we're doing. Okay, gas meter. So when Glenn explains this in a minute, this is all basically coming out, and we've got a boiler going on the wall and a cylinder, unvented cylinder to install. So Glenn, if you can explain what this is first, just explain what it is, what it does, and then explain why we're taking it out afterwards. That would be great.
So this is the Wiesmann Vitavalor hydrogen fuel cell. So we've got a gas boiler in the top here, we've got a domestic hot water cylinder, and then we've got a fuel cell in the bottom. So the idea is, once you start the fuel cell off, you get electricity generated from here, and we get 1 kilowatt thermal output as well. Now the idea being is the customer can then generate their own electricity, which is great. Really good bit of kit, very futuristic. I've done a few of these, getting really good results. You get 750 watts an hour of electricity, which is really good. If you can generate your electricity, especially with prices going up, really good. The only problem they've got here is the hot water is great for residential, large house, which you may have seen me do before, but in this instance the hot water upstream is a tad more than what this can generate. Now this being domestic hot water priority, once it's in hot water mode, it's not coming out into the heating. So they're struggling getting the rooms warm enough upstream. So we could have done an exploded version of this with an extra cylinder, but just space-wise it would have meant that we'd have struggled with maintenance. So they've said no, we want to go back to boiler, cylinder, and a backup with an immersion, which that's what we're going to do. So unfortunately this is coming out, and we're going to find a new home for it somewhere. You know, if you know anyone, let us know. Yeah, this is coming out today, unfortunately, but amazing bit of kit, great technology, but just didn't quite hit the spot here.
So what is a fuel cell? Can we see it as well? Can you take the cover off?
So, as you can see at the top there, we've got standard Wiesmann Vitamins 200 gas boiler. Inside of this box of tricks is the fuel cell. So in a nutshell, we're splitting this, the gas that comes in. There's a reformer in there, you've got an anode and a cathode. There's an electrochemical reaction, if you like, which has plates that friction, and that friction then generates an electrical current which is converted DC to AC and then back out into the grid.
So that's generating electricity.
Just this bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And 1 kilowatt thermal.
And heat. Using the heat to preheat the cylinder next to it?
Yeah, so it'll always want to top up the hot water.
Yeah. And then any electricity they don't use goes back onto the grid, and
they can sell it. Yeah,
they can sell it, which we know isn't, you don't get much, but better than not, eh?
Absolutely, but it's just not worked quite to plan on this.
So you said this comes, and then you said you start it off, so you activate it.
Yeah, it's got it has a starter, so it will require a little bit of energy to start the process going, but once it gets going, it goes to about 600 degrees, I think, in the middle of that.
Wow.
In the core there, to get things going, and then yeah.
So that's doing its thing. It's generating 1 kilowatt thermal heat
output,
and
then,
the electricity.
Yeah, 750 watts an hour of electricity.
And then the gas boiler is doing the rest.
Yeah, that will top up where it needed. So if there is heating on and it needs extra heat, the boiler will top up.
Yeah.
The good thing about these is they will run 23 hours a day. It only needs 1 hour downtime to do like a refresh. So essentially you can run that at night, so it's more efficient than solar PV in that sense.
And is this to buy? Is it an expensive bit of kit?
New, when they bought this, they probably would have paid about 15,000 just for the boiler alone. This alone.
Yeah.
All the accessories will be extra, and then obviously it's labour and then probably put a small markup on top. But yeah, it's not a cheap boiler. Not a cheap boiler.
First things first, get the water off, get it draining down. Look at the size of that. I mean, I'm not bragging, I've got big hands. But that is a big cock to get your hand around. There we go. So water's off. I know that because I've opened a tap. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut a lever valve in here, just so we can quickly turn the water on and off today. Because they're using the village hall, they need water on, but periodically when we're taking stuff out and things, we're going to need to have the water off. So we thought a quick lever valve would be better than trying to turn that off every time. Now, Glenn has bought himself the new inox stainless steel Milwaukee pipe cutter. Be honest, mate, if you hadn't borrowed mine, you wouldn't have bought this, would you?
I wouldn't have done, but I'm glad I did, because it is brilliant.
It's fucking awesome. Right, can you hold that bucket just in case? But I know it is off. One. About there. That's how quick it cuts.
28 as well.
28 now. Right, have we got any place to get this on? Right, might have to can you hold the camera? No.
You're on that rubber line just there to the right.
Let me just get a screwdriver. How much water's in your bucket? Touch. This one.
You're under pressure now, Pete.
I'm running out of time, mate. Right, let's see if I can push this way.
There we go. Don't know what you're fanning around it. So I decided to put an isolation valve here because the previous engineer has put no balanced cold to the building on that combination block. So I thought, well, I can straight pipe this for now. We'll get it completely disconnected off this unit, and then I'll do things properly. So yeah, we're isolated. Job done.
Done now. Let's remove the multi-block. And we've got a 28mm speed fit stop end. Excuse the blood. Got a brass splinter on my finger. So my question is, because when you watch me push this on, it isn't quite far. Is that gonna work when we walk back on? Here we go. Seems to be alright. I was expecting to push that off. Don't. Probably won't leave that overnight, but it'll do for while we're in here. Absolutely chucking it down. Still not moved that car. And every time we need to get something out of the van, we're getting soaked. So that's that. We're happy now. We've isolated the heating circuit. Basically, these temperature gauges, if you turn them, they're also isolation valves. So we've turned both of those off. So that's the heating circuit isolated. And then we've got the hot and cold isolated, because obviously that's gone. So we're now draining down. We're going to disconnect these. These just link the two units together. So at the minute it's just about draining these. We've got a hose on this one already, and getting these decommissioned and out of the way. Right, so above the hot water cylinder, got two plates. Got a plate there and a plate there. This plate, I think, is to separate the water from the fuel cell. So that's got distilled water in it. So that is pumped around this plate, and then the system water, which is hydraulically separated through the plate, picks up that 1 kilowatt of thermal heat from here. And then we've also got another plate there, which I guess is connected to the gas boiler, and that So this is plate loaded, so the plate is what transfers the heat into this, and then we've got the divcon there, which is sending the pumping the heat around the central heating system, pumping there to pump through the plate. I guess there's going to be a pump in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another pump there for pumping around that. It's complicated. I wonder who invented this.
It was the fuel cell was from Panasonic.
Clever stuff. But I suppose, thinking about it, it's 15 grand. So there's loads of ways of doing things. It's just, can you do it and make it cost effective? Because not many people are going to spend 15 grand.
Not much difference to a heat pump though.
Yeah, I suppose.
And you're generating 23 hours a day. It's just a big unit. That's my only downside. Is not many residential houses can get that in happily unless you've got a basement or plant room.
Can you imagine quoting for this and then someone comes in and quotes for a 24 kilowatt Vakira combi? So these connections that are linking the two units together are just pushed in and then held in with a circlip. That's the first one out. So we're going to obviously keep this because this cylinder is going to be sold. So the way these work, you just pull this off like that, and then this should just wiggle up. It's on an O-ring and pop out. A little bit of water in that. So that's all the water connections and the gas disconnected. Took the flue out. Just got to disconnect these 3 cables. We've still got a little bit of water coming out of the cylinder, adding to the rain. Once that's done, we can start moving these out. We're just going to stand them up over here, get the boiler out of the way. Right.
Yeah, we're clear now. Right.
Can you keep it tilted to me?
Yeah, no, we're on the electric part and we're on the PV. So I think we're just going to have to do a hard twist.
Yeah, spin it now.
Which way we spin it?
Back under. So when you're back under.
That looks good there, yeah.
Right, ready?
Yeah.
Nice.
What am I on? Just there?
Just the threshold. Yeah, you're clear. Come on, you push hard. Come all the way back to me now.
Cool.
Come on.
How are you, baby? Okay. Drive straight.
It's this that smells. Definitely this that smells.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be it, mate. Set.
That corner.
Yeah, go on. Yes, fine. Suppose we get into the toilet. Still draining as well.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before on my YouTube yet, but I need to get into biking because I want to do an Ironman. So I've had to buy a road bike to get some miles under my belt, and this is my new bike. But part of that, obviously, I need a toolkit in case I break down, get a puncture, whatever. So I've made up this toolkit. I got an old Whey pouch. I think I got this off a advent calendar, and then I've adapted it for what I think I'll need. Obviously, tell me if you think I'm missing anything. But I've got my 2 mini pairs of Nipex there. Mini Ziploc with the 4mm hex key, and then I put a 5 and a 6 in just in case. I don't know if I'll need those. Definitely need the 4 though. Bit holder, screwdriver, so I can either use that or that with the bits, and then a torch, because if I break down in the dark, I don't want to use my phone battery in case I'm running out of battery. Now this is currently on offer. This is the IL175R. Great for working in boilers. In your pocket, it's got a little clip on it. Great little torch, and that is currently on offer for 25 quid, and that's the cheapest it's ever been. Decent bit of kit that. I've had mine a little while now. It's magnetic, so you can stick it on when you're working on in boilers and stuff. So yeah, that's my little toolkit. All I did was some of these loops were for bits, and you can see they've just picked the stitching out just to make them a bit bigger to take what I want them to take. But the idea is that is going to go in my little seat bag. Can't do it with one hand, but all my kit in there in case I break down. Right, so we've got them out, had a little bit of a tidy up. What's the plan?
So I'd like to get the boiler sited first, because then we've got a starting block. Middle of the boiler, middle of the flue, and I just need to bear in mind about where we're going to take the flow and return, so we're not either going over stuff or crossing. So we've got a flow and return from the boiler over to this low loss header, but we need to bring that down to make way for the distribution header for the next divcon to sit on. So we're going to move that.
So you're going to have this divcon's going to stay for the heating.
Correct.
And we're going to have another divcon for the hot water.
Correct.
So the distribution just now allows us to connect
multiple
ports. Okay.
Yeah.
PB.
It's just me squeezing in the corner that's going to be the issue.
You on?
Right. Easy.
Right, I've wedged a bit of hose inside some 22mm pipe. That is the drain off from the old cylinder ton dish and the ton dish for the microfill. So I'm going to open this now and hopefully the hose doesn't pop out. So remember I told you that these isolate. If I open that up, you can hear the water going through it. Because we've got to work on this, we've got to add a distribution head onto there, raise this up and fit another one for the hot water. But to do that we've got to undo, there we go, undo these, cut them higher, so we need it draining. And where does that go? Coming out there. While that's draining down, we're just making a plan for the boiler. So we've got the connections that come with it, the pump. We're going to come down and then across behind the cylinder, so we're going to get some channel on the wall to get our pipes to. We want to get the pipe work across so then we can fit the cylinder in and it won't be working behind it basically. And then obviously we've got to take that pipe work up into this and then back down into the cylinder.
Like that.
Yeah. So you've got to be in somewhere
Yep,
around here.
that's fine. Might be a bit of wetter there, eh? I've got to also look at the fact I don't know what the depths are on that. So I'm just going to pull a bit of 28 off the van.
Now that's drained. Disconnect those two pipes, and then there was just a screw down the middle, and then those unions there, and then this bit should, I don't know how it's going to be, lifting it with one hand. Come off. Oh, it's just on that cable. There we go. Okay, let's pull that off. So now the distribution head is going to fix onto this header, and then this will be cut, these two copper pipes cut so that this can go slightly higher, and then we'll have the next one alongside it, which then the flow return will come off the top of it to come back down to the cylinder. I'm just getting the channeling on the wall there while I'm doing this. So the distribution header has to fit onto these brackets. It bolts in there. Now this has been fitted flush to the wall. With these on, it's going to come off. So we've got to basically get rid of everything, bring this out. We're going to fit the distribution header, and then we'll fit this up to it, which means this will be off the wall by about 4 inches, which means that these pipe centres aren't going to be right, which means I'll have to alter them as well, but it is what it is. It needs to be on the bracket, it needs to be secure, so that's what we're doing now. So brackets on, nice and level, and then literally that goes on there.
I'm going to get them on the first one back. There we go.
Where am I looking there? And that's now going to be all of that, which is quite heavy stuff when you've got the div cons above and the header below. It's quite heavy. It was just relying on the pipe clips. Now we're on these nice big brackets, so that's going nowhere. And what it means, we can just, once this is in, everything else just screws to it. So, hold that there. No rush, mate. I'm only holding this with one hand. There we go. Started?
Yep.
Good gear, that, isn't it?
So yeah, the insulation can slide on over the unions, pull them back once they're lifted.
And this is the bit for the one below. So it's all, when it's tightened on, it'll all look all proper. And just stopped for lunch. Thought I'd show you my lunch. So I've got basically salad, some beetroot in there, half an avocado, 0% fat cottage cheese, and then probably like half of a cooked chicken. Can't wait to eat it. That's the two div cons sat on top of that now. Obviously we've still got to pipe that in. What I've just done is, because we're getting this pipe working now, we borrowed the old deaerator that was on the system there, just took that out and then close coupled. Put two couplers in to bypass what was there. Like I said before, we're getting this pipe work in so we can offer the cylinder in place. I'm just unpacking the cylinder and I noticed these. I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but it's like a sticky label on the packaging. And apparently, if your delivery driver or whoever manhandles the package, the blue sand gets into the arrow, and because it's sticky, it will stick. That bit there is just when I peeled it off. They were both clear like that. So then if they tip it upside down by mistake, or it gets like ragged around, because that's sticky, the blue goes in there and you can tell that your package has been dropped or whatever. I think that's really cool, because there's no way of getting it out now without breaking it. Cylinder's in, as you can tell. As soon as we went outside to bring it in, it started pissing it down. I've just took the secondary return pump out. The new one is going to be fitted somewhere here. So I've just extended my piece of 22 down through that clip. I've got my Express 22mm end profile press fitted on there, and what I've done is, you can see I've pre-pressed the bottom joint because of the height it's come. I'm not really going to put my press tool in, and then I've just got to press the top connection, so my gun is going to fit perfectly in there. And that's that pressed. So now I've just got my pump valves to get on and fit the pump. Okay, this is our bronze pump. The reason we use a bronze pump on a secondary hot water circulation is because it's corrosion resistant. If you used a normal pump, it would have like a iron body which will corrode basically. So because we've got potable water running through it, we need a bronze pump. Drop it. Stay. And then, if you've seen these before, these lovely butterfly full isolation pump valves. I'll just drop that as well now. Tell you what, I remember when I was an apprentice, you know these pump nuts that come off like that and they go on quite easy, but I must have spent about 20 minutes trying to get one of these on, because there is a knack to it.
And then it'd buff you even more if it fell off. You're like, what?
Yeah, like if had it fall off
when I can't put
but
it
honestly, I spent so long trying to get one on. I think I was trying to do it that way, but yeah, if you've never done it before, the, what would I call that, the bigger part, going from that angle. So the pump's pumping down into the cylinder, but the head's upside down, so just got to quickly undo this and spin that the right way up. And if you wanted to see the inside of a bronze pump, there it is. Right, now before I fit the pump, this, which is the hot water outlet from the old cylinder, comes basically straight in front of the pump. So if I just grab that, the way I really want to put it, which is this way, it's right underneath that. But what we're going to do is cut this somewhere here and then press onto it, because that is pretty much in line with here. So we're going to come straight out of that elbow up into there, which gets that out of the way of our pump, which is going to come down and into the one below it. I normally use Loctite, but for today we're using some of this blue stuff. So I'll put that on the threads and then tighten my two fittings onto there. So I've got my Pegler Express, that's a female to 28mm press adapter, and then I've got the blue liquid PTFE on there. Now the first impression of that is it's a lot thinner than the Loctite version, but basically you get some on the thread and then that will cure when the metal meets the metal. Just need to tighten that up. Right, so that's my hot in. Now I've got to press onto 35mm there. Now this press tool I've got, which is the ACO 103, now bear in mind mine's grey, that's just because they sent me it as a promotional gift from NovaPress. This would normally be the red one. So the standard NovaPress ACO 103 will go up to 35mm, so you can press 35mm with your NovaPress, and that will go all the way down to 15mm. Okay, that's the hot secondary return done. I'm going to tackle the composite valve now, multi-block, which was on there. I've got to get that on and get it to fill the cylinder at the bottom, don't know if you remember before, but because the composite valve was off this T, it meant that the whole building was off the cold mains, and it wasn't balanced cold to balance it with the hot water flow and pressure. So what we're going to do is fit this down here like this. So we've got mains water coming in, balanced cold going out to the building, and then balanced hot out of this outlet to feed our cylinder, and then we can put our expansion vessel into there. Just before, because it was up here, like I think they did it like that. So basically it was reducing the pressure for the hot water, but the cold, because it bypassed this valve, was just whatever the mains pressure was, so it would have been unbalanced. So because the distance between the in and the out is almost exactly the same as this elbow, I've got to sweat that off. So I've isolated the cold. I've just made a nick in it with my junior hacksaw just to let the excess water out, and then I'm going to have to get the blowtorch on that and sweat it off. Now that's pretty much stopped. What I've done is crack this nut here to let any excess out into my bucket. So now I should be able to heat this up and sweat it off. Yeah, that was never going to sweat off. There's just loads of water in the pipe. That's how quick it is when there's no water in the pipe.
Right, so this cylinder comes with no immersion, so we're taking the blanking plate off and putting the new one on with our flange adapter for the immersion. So I've just took that off, seal on the back.
Let me have a look inside this.
Have a look at this.
Just one flash on.
Right, have a look at this coil. Absolute beast. Now this, see if I can get this in.
So this is a twin coil cylinder. I'm not going to link them, but you can just see how big on this commercial cylinder the coil is.
Work of art that is. So I'm going to pop this immersion on now. Show you what it looks like after.
Impressive.
Thank you very much. That is up to 9 kilowatt, I believe. She's a beast.
Let's go in there. So I've just got the cold done. So we've now got balanced cold to the building. Obviously the hot is filled from that. PRV to do, that can twist any way we want it to, and then the expansion vessel is going to tee into that, and then we can get the water back on. That's all connected. Glenn's just about ready with that. We'll just put an isolation valve in there for the expansion vessel, just so we can get the water back on, because there is people using the building. Listen to this. There's some power behind that. Oh dear. What are you thinking, mate?
My fault. Got the wrong way around, didn't I?
We think this one might have been the secondary return, not this one.
You think?
You dear. Fluid width. So quick look in the instructions. C is our flow, which is the top one. So now we're taking that into the flow there, and then the return's going to go down the back, because we've got this nice gap behind, into this sort of void, and then here and down to the return at the bottom. And then because there's two coils, so flow in, coil, return out, flow in, coil, return out, we're going to join these two together. So it's going to flow in the top, go down this coil out here, back into this coil, and then return at the bottom. So we're using both coils on the one circuit. Just getting a few cables in, just put some grommets into the channel and run some cables through. One for this pump here, and then one for this, what's this bit called?
This is the mixer motor extension. Now, the newer Wiesmann stuff runs on plus bus, whereas the commercial stuff is still on the older KM bus. So I'm swapping the extension over, so make sure we get the right language over to the boiler. So I'm just going to switch the extension.
And what's this do? Is this like a balance?
Yeah, that's the mixer itself, the body. So
Do you set that manually?
So no, this is done automatically on the
That's
back
what
here.
that does. Right, okay.
And then this is a weather comp circuit, and then it will open and close it depending on whether it wants it hot or cold.
So that's just like a valve motor.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, actuator.
Interesting.
That's my temperature sensor. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, that's temperature sensor. That, I think, is a low loss header sensor. I don't need that. And then that's going to go into there.
Right, that's me done here. So flue's done, boiler's on the wall, just needs wiring. Pipework's done. The condense and PRV still to do. That's just going to be some waste pipe running along the bottom, picking up this. This is full of water now. Glenn's just got to finish off the hot water circuit and do these two connections in there tomorrow and wire it and then commission it. Oh, expansion vessel to go on because of that strap. He's got to link this together. He's got a few little bits to do, but it should be done tomorrow. He's going to film the rest of it while I'm away, so any more interesting bits Glenn will film and then I'll add them on to the end of this.